So let's start today's session. So welcome to this data analytics live session of the TerraSkills Bootcamp. Welcome. So now I got a question about Power BI having some magical powers. So let us explore those magic together. This time, what makes it fun, I believe, is that we are going to be together in this. So I will start with after I share my screen with you, my Power BI. After I share it with you, I will start from the very beginning to describe what Power BI is, what DAX in Power BI is, and where DAX can be used as well. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start. What is DAX? Let me spell it. DAX is an acronym for Data Analysis Expression, okay? Data analysis expression. You can use DAX in Power BI as we are going to be using now. You can also use DAX in Excel Power Pivot. Okay, you can add in the normal Excel, you will not see Power Pivot. So Power Pivot is an add-on, right? So Power Pivot is an add-on in Microsoft Excel that can allow you use DAX, which I said is an acronym for Data Analysis Expressions. Okay, it's a formula language, right? Used in SQL server analysis services, as well as in Power Pivot in Microsoft Excel and in Power BI. So because in Excel, you will need to add Power Pivot first. Most times when people talk about DAX, they will they'll be referring to DAX in Power BI because it's there. So we use DAX to create new information from the data already that we have in our model. For instance, that is to say, we will have to first import our data. I sent us a CSV file, so I am going to be importing a CSV file. So let me import that from here. I can use here, or I can use the get data, okay? Any of these and this. So I want to get data from CSV, right? The file I sent you is a .csv file, right? So the sales data. So it's loading in now, connecting to that data set. Okay. And we have, can you see the Power Query preview window? Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So because it's the delimiter is comma, we have this overview we have is based on the first 200 rows. So we have our data well transformed. It's quite a clean data and straightforward. So we don't need to transform data. When we click on transform, it takes us to Power Query to transform our data in Power Query. But because everything is looking good, what we need to do is load the data directly into our Power BI. So I click on load, and now we have our data loading. Okay. So it's taking a while, but shouldn't. Sometimes it does that. So we have our data loaded. And one sign you know your data has been loaded appropriately is your canvas is activated. It says build visuals with your data. So like I said in the introduction, Power BI have three views. We have the what? The report view. We have the data or table view. This is where we are going to see our data as loaded, right? Then we have our model view. The model view is where we have model relationships between two or more tables. That is, if we have more tables, we are using data from more tables. So let's go to our report view, right? Now, if we look at this data in our data or data view, if you look at this, we just have data. We have not calculated anything. In Microsoft Excel, what we'll have done is that we'll go ahead and begin to create new columns, right? We'll create new columns to do what? To calculate sales. We know that we have unit price here. In unit price, it tells us the price of each unit. Then the quantity sold, you see that we have the quantity sold here. So therefore, for us to calculate sales, it will mean that we multiply quantity by unit price or unit price by quantity, as you like. So you see that we still need to add some columns. In Microsoft Excel, you'll have just gone ahead, add a column, and then begin to multiply them and autofill. But here, since this is not a spreadsheet application, we will not be able to do that. So that is one of the uses of what, or the types of DAX calculation, which is what is called calculated columns. Calculated columns add new data to a table based on existing data, right? That means we are adding one new column to this table based on these two existing columns. That is one type. The second type is measures. Measures are used to perform calculations on data for use in reports and visuals. So let me give you an example of measure. Calculating an average is a measure. Calculating a sum is a measure. So usually in Microsoft Excel, we'll just go somewhere and say sum, total, count, and we just use the range to calculate that. But what we do here, we do calculated measures, okay? We do measures here in Power BI to get those same values. Then we also have calculated tables as types of DAX calculations in Power BI. So calculated tables, we create new tables based on the DAX formulas, basically summaries from our measures that we've created, okay? Now, I want to remind you of when we did named ranges in Microsoft Excel. So I want you to take these measures as you are using named ranges, because you will find out that we are not saying equal to A2 or A3 or B5 or whatever. All we'll do, we'll use the function sum, then it will say quantity or product rather, say quantity and unit price. So then here we will be making mention of names, right? We'll be making mention of names of columns. So you see that if you relate it to name ranges in Microsoft Excel as we did, it will be clearer for you. Okay, so we have done the first step, which is to import our data into this. So what we'll need to do now is to create a calculated column to do what? To get a new column called total price or sales, if you like, but let's call it total price. So how do we get to do this? To add a new column or new calculated column, we are already in data view. So it's necessary that if you were in this view, in the report view, you will switch to the data view. Okay. So this is the data set we want to use. Okay. So we have it here already. So what we can do now, you see calculations, we have new columns, right? I hope you guys are following.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you select the table, you'll see new column. We want to add a new column. It's working on the new column. So now we have a new column here. don't mind this error is telling you, because there's nothing here and that's why it's doing that. So we have to actually start. Are you seeing our formula bar?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. So new column, then we have our formula bar activated. So we don't want the title of the column to be new column. We want the title of the column to be total sales, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is that we will now replace that column equals with total sales equals. Remember, as a data analyst, there's something you should always bear in mind, that you don't name columns. And if you had noticed, even in SQL or wherever, you don't name columns with space. It's not too ideal. So we will call this now total sales. Now, I have two words together, but I wrote it in such a way that I'll be able to know that it's total sales, because I'm starting T with capital letter and S for sales with capital letter. So I know. If for any reason I want to have double, I will have to use the underscore, but what's the need? So total sales. So then the equality sign. So to get total sales, I have to do what? Multiply quantity, the quantity column, by the what? By the unit price column.
Unit price column.
Yes, that is what I have to do. So what I need to now understand is that I need to actually reference this table name. So the table name is that name that we save the data with. So if you look at it, you see it's sales data, right? It is sale. Are you seeing? If I hover any of the, you see sales data. If I hover here, you see sales data, customer ID. So you will see everyone. So this gives us a little secret on how we will even name, talk about quantity. This is quantity, right? So for me to reference this in a formula, what I'll do now is to say equals, I'm referring to sales data, right? So I'll say sales, and you see it here, right? Look at it, sales data. So once I click on sales data, you'll see that it shows me all of the column in sales data. And the column of interest for me here now is what? Quantity, right?
Yes.
So when I pick quantity, I can then go to the next thing, which is the multiplication sign. So I'll shift 8. So I'm multiplying this by what? A column on this table, which is unit price, right? So I have to also tell it that it must be from this table, right? So I will start again, sales data, right? This time you see that I can go ahead and look at sales data. Just scroll down. You can either type it down in or just select it if you wish, okay? So
yes,
I have sales data, unit price. So when I pick this now, you see that I have what I need to actually take care of, okay, is to now take a look at it again. So I want to calculate total sales, this total sales column. I have said that the total sales column is a product of quantity and unit price, okay?
12.25.
Sorry, excuse me. Let me hide this. I discovered that the last time it was covering one part of your video. So now, again, I want to calculate a new column. It's a calculated column, yeah? So the column is total sales, and total sales will be a product of what? Quantity and unit price. So that is what is just here, right? So if we look at this formula, are we all satisfied with the formula?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I need, the only thing I need to do now is just to hit enter, right? If I press enter on my keyboard, it will create a new column called total sales that multiplied what? Quantity by unit price. So let's go and see if we got it. Is working on it. Oh, yes, we got it. So we have total sales now. Total sales is definitely what? The product of quantity and unit price. So that is just a crucial example of what? Calculated columns. And you can go ahead and calculate columns as you wish, okay? As you like, yes, okay? So I want to also point to the fact that you can format your tables. You see that the total sales is highlighted. Under formatting, you see that it's on whole number, right? You can scroll down and see if you want it on currency. You pick currency and it's working on it. And definitely by default, it gave you the dollar currency. If you don't want the dollar currency, let me not be too fast. Once you pick currency, if you do not want the dollar currency or the dollar sign, you click on the drop down of dollar sign here. You are going to see other currencies. Okay. Can you see them?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And you see the Naira as well. So if you want to use if it's the Naira you want to use, you go ahead and pick the Naira, and it will definitely be implemented as we have it here. So you can do all of these things in Power BI as well using DAX, okay? So these things are quite straightforward if you pay attention to them, okay? Now, if I ask you to go ahead and do a calculation or add a calculated column, I'm sure you will know how to do that. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to point out the difference between a structure and a formatting. The structure here talks about what? It talks about the data type, right? The formatting talks about what you're formatting it into, right? On the structure is a whole number. You see, you have the actual data sets here. You have whole number data, decimal
number.
Pardon. You have binary, you have Boolean, which is true or false. You have time, you have date and time. So that is it. This is the name of the column, total sales. Okay, that's the name of the column. So this structure is what it gives this the structure. But the currency here comes from here. The 2 decimal points added here comes from here. If you don't want the decimal, you remove it as you have it here. Okay, now it's on 0 decimal. You can see if you want 2 decimal points, you can increase it under formatting. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So now, as far as this data,
sir, please hold on.
Yeah.
All these things you're measuring, they're under the column tools.
Yes.
Okay.
It is because you're on this column, right? If we go on to our report, you don't see any column tools here. You see it, right?
Yes.
So when we go to our data view, if you click on every column, you begin to have a corresponding column tools, right? To that very column. Are you seeing?
Yes.
When you go, you begin to have column tools, okay? So you have the table tools that talk about the entire table. When we want to calculate measures, we'll come to table tools. If you want to calculate, you can also still, if you want to calculate, add columns rather, you come to column tools so that you have the tools that you need to add new or write a new DAX expression for a calculated column. All right. So now, to measure is also one type of DAX calculation. We say measure does what? We say measure performs
on a report.
Exactly. That is what measures do. So now we need to go to add a measure. So to calculate anything, like I pointed out, we have to actually stay on the data view. Then we will then click on, we'll go to our column, because if you look at this now, we'll go to our table tools. It's in our table tools under calculations here. Look at it. Under calculations here, you will see new measures. Okay. I see new measures.
Yes.
Okay, so new measures helps us to write DAX expression that calculates value from your data. That's the same thing like we said earlier. So now the measures, like I said, I just want you to take your mind back to Microsoft Excel, where you had to calculate sum, for instance. You had to calculate the sum of total sales. Okay, so to calculate sum of total sales, you just calculated it somewhere and using the range. But this time, we can calculate new measures and say we want to calculate the sum from this table, but of total sales is going to add to our data here. Because if you look at it, we have total sales as what? A new column added to this table. Look at, are you seeing the sign? A new
Yes.
column added to this table. So we are going to have our measures added here as well. So measures are very important because measures can be used in our reporting as cards or in cards rather. So now let us go ahead and add a measure. So we want to add a new measure, yeah? We click on add a new measure. So like we saw it on when we're adding table, it says column equals. So by default, you say measure equals, but we don't want the measure, right? We don't want the measure to have a name measure because that's all how we keep adding if we don't change the name. So we want it to have a particular name. Maybe we have a column called total sales. Should we call it sales? So we can say sales now equals. So we want to actually calculate the sum. Sum is a function here in Power BI as well. We want to calculate the sum. So as you're writing it, you are going to see the suggestion of similar functions. So we want to write get the sum. So just as we have it, right, in Microsoft Excel, when we say the function sum, we will open a bracket, say equal sum, open a bracket. But take your mind back to name ranges again. If you say sum in name ranges, if you say sum, total sales in a bracket, you calculate the sum of total sales for you in the bracket. The difference here is that we have to first reference, excuse me, reference the table, right? Which in this case is what? You see it here is sales data, right? Then you see it, sales data, right? And we want to calculate the sum of our total sales column, isn't it? So what we need to do now is to close the parentheses. So we have a complete formula. So is this formula okay with you guys? Are you guys okay with it? Or I have to repeat it?
Please repeat it. This
Okay.
says sorry.
All right. So now we want to calculate measure. What a measure does is that it gives us a summary. We can use measure to summarize. Okay, let me take our minds back to Microsoft Excel. In Microsoft Excel, we can just go somewhere we'll go somewhere on our spreadsheet, right? And say sum. We'll say we want to calculate the sum of total sales. So in this case, let me actually take our minds back to reflect how it looks on Microsoft Excel. This order ID will have been in A, date will have been in B, product will have been in C, quantity D, unit price E, customer ID F, G, and H, right? So total sales will have been in H. So our total, this thing have an order of 90, right? Order ID of 90. So we will have row 91. So it will have been sum, it will have been equal sum, open brackets, H, right? Is it H? That's it. H2 to H2 column H91. Then we close our bracket. That will have been it in Microsoft Excel, right? Then the reason why I introduced you to name ranges was so that when you experience it in other places, you will understand how it works. So if we had named H2, if we have gone to name ranges to name H2 to H91 as our total sales, if we wanted to sum total sales, what we will have done is that we will have said equals sum, open bracket, total sales, close bracket, hit enter, and we'll have had the sum of total sales, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, good. So the difference here is slightly different here. In calculating measures in Power BI, rather, what we'll do, we'll now say the name of the measure. The name of the measure is the name we want the measure to have. So the name of the measure, now we want to have sales. You could as well call it total sales, okay?
Yes.
Okay, as well call it total sales. So we want to
add everything together.
Yeah, we want to add the total sales together. So what is the function that allows us to add? The function that allows us to add is what? Sum.
Sum.
Yes. So remember in Microsoft Excel, if we want to add we'll say equal sum, right? So we'll say equal sum, but in this case, we have to mention the name of our table. The name of our table is sales data, isn't it?
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and open what? A square bracket. When we open a square bracket, we'll now name the column we want to sum. The column we want to sum is total sales, isn't it?
Yes.
Total sales. That is the name. Then we close the square bracket. Now we have closed the square bracket, but we need to close yes. So we'll close it. So what we have done, if we hit enter now on our keyboard, we have successfully calculated a new measure. You may not see the new measure on this table, but it will definitely appear here on our data view. Okay, so is that clear now?
Yes, it is clear. So the thing is, for every calculation we want to do, we will have to first of all reference the name of the entire table.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So yes.
That means that regarding this name, we are using total sales twice. It will not affect anything.
No, it shouldn't, because the other total sales is a calculated column, while the other one is a measure. If we wanted to do another column, add another column, it will have been a problem. But now it shouldn't, because it's a measure. So it will go ahead. Oh, it said the name total sales is already used for column and table sales. Choose a different name. Oh, I think so. Oh, sorry. So
let us just leave it at maybe sum of sales.
Yes, sum of sales.
Or sum of total sales. That one.
No, let's use
sum of sales.
You can just use sales. The reason is that because we need to use it as our card, although we can go ahead and rename the card, right?
Okay.
Yes, but let's use sum of sales this way.
So another question, how can we get this square bracket? What's the
okay, after P on your keyboard.
Okay.
Yes, you know there are two brackets there. There are the curly braces and the square bracket. So if you use shift, it will give you the one on top, which is the curly braces. Then if you just press this thing, you'll see, if you just press it, you'll see this thing there.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think now we wouldn't have that issue again. So now we have calculated the sum of sales, which is the measure. Like I said, it will not appear on the table here, but you can see it here on our data view. Okay? Yes.
The new measures appears on the side, while the new column appears on
the table. Yes. A column is a table you are adding to your table. So you are expanding your table. While a measure is
just by the side.
A calculated item you have on the side. You can as well use them as part of your data, but they're part of this data, but it is nowhere to be found here. It's just being showed as what? Elements within your data. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So Now, from our data set, from what we have on our data set, what we'll be calculating here next is
Average.
average. Okay. So we will need to now create an average of which column should we create an average of?
I think it should be the average of the total sales.
Okay.
I know average of the sum sales rather.
Average.
The,
if we calculate the average, we can calculate the average of this. It's
yes,
the same as the average.
sales.
Yes. So we can calculate the average of this.
Of the
so
total sales.
Still on this, we can add a new measure, right?
Yes. Yes.
So now you see the measure appearing here as the name measures because we have measure here. So we want average or average sales average, right? So we can say sales average. So some can leave it this way or you complete it. Okay. So if we have it this way, what do we do? You know, it is now the same thing. So let me see, it's your voice that I'm hearing, so you can guide us. How do we do it? The same thing as you've done with what?
Then we'll first write out the formula. That's average.
Exactly.
Average. Okay. Then we'll open the bracket, average. Then we'll open the bracket. Then we'll reference the table, the whole table. That's this data.
Yes.
Now open the square table.
Bracket,
write the total sales out. Then we'll close the total sales. Then we'll close the number table.
Okay.
Enter. Press enter.
Wow. I hope you are clapping for her wherever you are. Yeah, I hope we are all clapping for her.
Yes, so I'm clapping.
Okay, so we go ahead and hit enter. We have a new measure called sales average. Okay. So usually there are many calculations we can. It just goes on and on to show us basically based on the calculations we do is based on what we have on our data set, right? The values we have to create from our data set. Okay. So now we want to use counts. I want to use counts as another measure so that it will be easy for you to know that you can basically use counts. You can use max, you can use mean, you can basically use anything. You can even calculate with a logical function if. So just like we did in Microsoft Excel. So we're going to be doing few of those. Then we go ahead to create dashboards from this today before the end of our class. Okay. So let's do a count. Let's use count. So what does count do?
I think it counts the number of maybe number of times that a particular product appears or so. I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah, you
count for quantity.
We use count on quantity.
Okay.
Just to count the number of maybe number of items, or maybe just count number of items.
Yes. So yes, you guys are right. You can use count to count the number of items on a table. So you definitely can do so. Okay. So now for quantity, if we look at quantity wouldn't give us a categorical count. If we count on quantity, it's still going to give us the same result as we count on ID. So that is what count does. So if we want to know, for instance, for quantity here is going to be sum of quantity. That is the sum of quantity now. Okay, which that is not really, if we want, we can do that. And it's just going to be sum, the same sum we had as our measure. So except we want, if it's very necessary for our analysis, dashboard analysis, we can do that. Why not? I think it's necessary because if we have total sales, we need to know, especially when we are filtering through data, we need to know the quantity of product that yielded their total sales. I think it's fine. So we can add a new measure for us to go ahead and calculate the sum.
The sum of the
Sum
quantity.
of quantities, yes.
So we'll change the name, sum quantity.
Okay, so say equals, and then
Sum.
we go ahead and use the sum, open our bracket, sales, data, our table name, open a square bracket to reference the quantity, that is the column title. Then we close it, then close the entire summary. So we'll go ahead and hit enter. It calculates our sum of quantity here. So we have our sum of quantity. So if we wanted to use count, I'll just do count for the sake of using count, but we are not going to use it for
visualization.
Yes, we are not going to use it for the visualization. Okay. So let's do count, and we want to count sales order ID rather. Okay. All right. So new measures. So we are going to call this measure count of ID equals count. We open our bracket, sales data. Then we want order ID as the column. We close it and close it. Okay. So we'll say that it gives us our new measure called
ID.
The ID. If for any reason you want to rename your measure, what you need to do is actually double click on it. Okay. You can actually
then you edit.
Yeah, you edit if for any reason you really want to do that. Okay. So now I want to add one logic before we go ahead. I think, hold on, let me see if somebody is waiting. I think it's not a reaction. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go on. So now I want to add a logic, a conditional logic using the if. So I want to create now a calculated column to classify sales as low or as high. Yes, I want to add a calculated column. So what I need to do now is to go where? Table tools, right?
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, table tools and new tables. Okay. New table. I go to new table and it's new column, not new table.
New column.
Yeah.
Go back to this one to the normal table.
Yes, new column. Okay. So
column.
New table is when we want to add calculated tables. So
Yes.
New column. Okay.
New column.
Yeah. So yeah. So we will now say we want to, what title should we give it? Should we, if we say we want to calculate, we want to categorize sales as high or as low, what should we call it? Sales category or sales comment, or how do we call it? Whatever we want to actually call it, since it's categorization.
We can call it profit and loss now.
A profit and loss. We can't call it profit and loss because low sales might not necessarily be loss.
Okay, let's use sales category.
Okay, so let's
sales category.
Let's use sales category as this column name. I will say equals. So now we want to use the conditional formula if. Okay. So we'll say if what? Total price. We are looking at our total sales rather. If total sales. Yes. So, but remember, we have to call the table first, right?
Yes.
So if sales data, then open this. We are talking about total sales. We are referencing total sales column. If total sales of sales data is greater than, we will use the greater than sign. Okay.
Yes.
We'll use the greater than sign is greater than, yeah. Greater than, let's say what? Let's look at this. It looks there within 1,000. Okay. Let's use greater than 1,000, right?
1,000. Yes.
Greater than 1,000. If it's greater than 1,000, then we will say is high, right? We will now open quote and call it high. Then if not, we just need to put comma to exactly. Oh, nice. We'll put comma and say low.
Low.
Okay. So then we have to close our parentheses. I think that is good. When we hit enter, then we'll have a classification of high and low. Okay, let's do that and see. So yes, I think we have basically successfully done that. We have high, right, and low. Okay, anyone lower than this is high. Anyone higher than 1,000, anyone lower than 1,000 is low. Anyone higher than 1,000 is high, just as we will have it. So,
sorry, sir, I want to ask a question.
Yes.
Assuming this table now, we are asked to determine the profit and loss, and we are giving maybe a price. Maybe the total, let's assume the lowest amount is like 1,500, and we are having 1,500, 600. So we can actually write this table to be profit and loss. Then we'll make the condition to be profit and loss, right?
Yes, you can make the condition to be profit and loss, but before you calculate,
if we want to get something like, if we want to get for profit or loss, maybe there is a condition to get if they are at profit, they are selling at profit or they are selling at loss. That's what I'm trying to
yes,
get.
okay. Yes, you can determine that. But what you need to be provided is that you need to be provided data on the cost of goods.
Okay.
Yes. So assuming we have a table, say a column rather, say cost of goods, then we have another column quantity, then we have another column unit price. So definitely what happens is that I can now create two calculated columns. The first calculated column will be cost of goods sold. That is the cost of one item multiplied by the quantity, right? Let's say the cost of one item was 2,000 naira, right? If I multiply it by 2, so I will have cost of goods sold, cost of the goods sold to be 4,000, isn't it? Then, if I want to calculate total sales, right? I will now calculate how much we sold it. If we sold it for any reason at 1,500, it will be 3,000. Yeah. The cost of goods, the sales rather, will be 3,000. So the profit or loss here will now be, it will be, if we even have to calculate a column called profit, it will be minus 1K, right? So that is just a loss, all right? You see it, right?
Okay.
So yes, that way we will easily get comments for what is profit and what is loss and will be justified.
Okay, thank you. I just want to know in case something like that.
Yes, definitely you meet that a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have actually done this. I think we have exhausted this. We have our dates well structured because when we click on it, we have the data type dates, and I think that is good. And everything we have here is good. We don't actually need to format, if you care to format the unit price, because we are not going to use it anyway as what is to be presented. But if you want, because I don't think we can use this. So our measures we have calculated will be good enough for us. And the total sales per product, and per date will be good enough for us to do our visualization. So let's just do a mini visualization. So we are done with our data. We will now head on to our report view, where we'll build our visuals with the data we have. So if you come up here now to the view, visual report view rather, you have three very important panes here. You have the data pane, you have the visualization pane, you have the filter pane, right? Most importantly, the one you need to click through and be using all the time is the visualization view and the data view, right? So now on the visualization view, what you use it for is to build your visualization, while the data here is whatever you select to actually contribute to filling up your visualization. So now I want you to know that you can actually build your data, your visualization to be aesthetically pleasing. So you can work as you do in Microsoft Excel, where you insert what? You insert text boxes, buttons, and shapes. So you can go ahead and insert a shape, adjust the shape. Did you see how I inserted the shape?
No, please click on it again. I was writing down the visualization.
Okay. So now look at this now. So you can go to insert, and under elements, you see text box if you want to write, buttons if you want to add a button to your report. For instance, buttons is when you use for your the arrows you use to navigate. So you see that we have page 1, right? So it is possible that in your report, you want to create maybe 3 pages of report, 2 pages of report, but you want to create a dashboard in such a way that when you are viewing your report, I want to click on next, back, forward. So you can use buttons. You can add buttons, okay, to help you with those. So the reason I share, I might not do those in this class now, but creatively, you can expand yourself by trying all of these things out because they are there. For instance, if I just want to insert a button, I click on the back button now. You see the back icon, right?
Yes.
So I can modify this back icon, give it any color I like, and it will definitely function as I will want it to do. Okay. If I hold down control, are you seeing that it becomes, if I hold down control, is actually, for instance, let me add another page. I have page 1, page 2. And if I go to page 2 and insert a button, say back, the back button now, for instance, if I hold down control and click on the back, I don't know if it's too fast. Are you guys seeing what is happening? If I hold down control, click on my keyboard and click on this back, it takes me to my first page, the first page, page 1. So that's how buttons work, right? You can add any button you like. If you like, add page navigator. If it's page navigators you want. Are you seeing page 1, page 2?
Yes.
Yeah, because I have 2 pages. If I had 3 pages, it will definitely add page 1, page 2, and page 3. So depending on what, so because you are in page 1, it is this color. If you go to page 2, sorry, let me show you. Hold down your control, click on page 2, it takes you to page 2. But because we have back, I can hold down my control, click on back, and it takes me back to page 1. Are you seeing the difference?
Yes.
If I come to page 2, the reason why you hold down control is that probably I want you to be able to work on, to be able to control these buttons without having to be struggling. So that's why I have to hold down control to activate the linking, right? So watch this. If I add a page navigator and say I want click on page navigator, I just have to take this down here, wherever. If you want it up, if you want it down, if you want it adjust differently, okay? For instance, if you come to the format now, you can align it differently, send it down as you want, send it behind your whatever as you want. So let's take it down here just by clicking, hold, and dragging. Are you seeing, because we are in page 2, it's in page 2. You see the color of page 2, right? The highlighted color. If I come to page 1 will be dark, right? To show that I am in the page, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you can actually work on these colors, right? You can actually work on the colors. Look at this. What happens is that you click on it and you come to the format here. So you have the general area, you have the visual area. The visual area talks about the visual of the buttons. The general talks about every other, the property, that's the size, the effect, the background color, the borders, the shadow. If you want to add a shadow, are you seeing? I clicked on to add a shadow and you see how it looks. Okay. Hello guys, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So let's work on the visual now. Let's just work on the visual now. So on the shape, it's a rectangle shape. But if I want to add some little effigy, right, I might want to make it a rounded corner. I can just adjust this. If the more I adjust this, the rounder the corner, okay? Then if I truly don't want these white areas like these, I'll just say I don't want the background, okay? So let me click and say I don't want the, let me see, the background. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. All right, so let's still go to the shape, rotation, style. Let's go to style. So now on the style, you can, if you want, see this text, the page 1 text here. If you don't want it, you take it off, but definitely you have to want it, right? But you can as well change the colors. You can make it bold. You can change the font size to make it bigger as you like, anyhow you like. I clicked on this one. That is why this is changing. So you just align it as you like. Okay, you can do this in your own time. This is easy to actually go ahead and play with. Okay, so that is it for the buttons. Okay. All right. So now on the elements again, you can add an image to your report. You can add an image to your report, but I want to add this shape. I asked this question. So what I did is to come to insert again under elements, see shape. You have several shapes as you would have in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. So I want this rectangle shape. I click on it and it's going to add. So you see these dotted lines like this. These dotted lines are where you have to actually make your report within. And this space looks small, right? So you'll be tempted to feel like, oh, 2 charts will just be enough. 3 charts will just be enough. That is not it. You can fit in within from say 5 to 8 charts here, and you can have a good report depending on how you align them. So you have several ways to adjust this shape this rectangle that you've put. Look at all of the sides, but I want to adjust it this way. So I click, hold and drag and take it to the right. Hold and drag and take it to the right so that it actually, I'm coming, so, okay. So it actually covers where I want it to cover. So, sorry. So now, what I need to do now is that I want to actually, the reason I put this color, if you don't want this color, all you need to do is to click on the shape and change the color of your box. So, but I think we'll just use it this way now. So I want to write maybe say sales dashboard here. You can go ahead and if you are working for a company and a company wants you to have their logo, how you get the logo is to come to insert, come to elements, and then click on image. So you choose where you want to pick your image. It comes here, you align it the way you want, they need to align it, okay? So then I want to enter a text box now. As I click, the text box comes out. I want to say maybe sales
no, not again.
performance dashboard. I'll correct that, sales dashboard. Sales performance dashboard. You see that I can adjust pick a different font type, adjust the size, change the font color, and so on, and make it bold, either centralized or whatever I want it to be. So, but let me just make the font size bigger. I think I should make it white. Although if it's white here, you might not see it. So let us adjust it in a way that it can sit on our box. Okay. So I pick it here. You see that it has a background. So I will keep it here, then make sure I don't have a background, right? If there is anything I've done and it's too fast for you, you let me know, okay? Is that good?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So say sales performance dashboard. If this is too much, I can definitely reduce it. So while you are doing your own, if for any reason it works with layers, right? It's layers. So if for any reason you cannot see your sales performance dashboard, the text you have written, that means your text is behind. So what you need to do is to click on what is on top and just go to format and say maybe send it backward if you need to send this backward, or send it forward. Just arrange it based on layers so that one will not cover the other. Okay, so now let me start with cards, right? If you come to your visualization here, you are going to see several charts and visualizations you can use. If you come here, you see you have cards. So there's no issue struggling with these at all. So whatever, if you hover over any visualization, it's going to tell you what kind of chart it is. So if you have a problem with cards, it's just for you to just come and see, but this is card, this is what multi-row cards. That is, you want to have several card entries, singular entries in a card. But let's pick for ease of design, let's pick a card. So as you've clicked on a card, this is just a card. The card has been entered. So when we now pick an item to be represented in a card, the item is then represented. Okay, so now I want to pick our measures, right? We have sales average as measures. So see these measures, the measures look like you have calculators before the names, okay? So that's how you know measures. Then this one you have f of x, summary of a table. It begins to tell you what you have as what? As columns that you added, calculated columns, okay? So let's go ahead and add this sum of sales, okay, to our measures. All I need to do is just to check it, okay? Once I check it, you see the title, sum of sales. If you are not fine with the title, we definitely can always adjust it. So you need to adjust this card, okay, to look very well. If you want it to be here, I want to take it up a little bit here, okay? So I have this card, but there is a lot you can do with this card. You have 173,000. So 1,000 is presented by K. If you want to adjust any of this, you definitely will and can adjust it. Okay. So now there's something I showed us in our last time we were talking about when we're talking about calculations. And we said, I want you to remember that this thing looks a little bit like a summary calculations, like a pivot, what you have on a pivot table. So on a pivot table, you can come to the pivot field, right? I'm just using this to take your minds back. When you come to the pivot field, you click the drop down on the pivot field. Are you seeing this is a field? So you can either rename these visuals to be, say, maybe sales total or you can just allow it to be sales. You see that these visuals have been renamed to be sales, as easy as that. So it can be renamed to be sales. You can perform this calculation where when you come here, you say show value as what is now on no calculation. But if you want a different calculation, you can pick a different calculation. But let's leave it as no calculation so that we have actually what we calculated in our measures. Okay, so you can work on this, make this visual, make it very beautiful. You can do that. Okay, and how you can do that is to click on your added visual. Then you see this is where you build your visual. You have your format visual button here. When you click your format visual button, especially for a chart visualization, you can now see your visual and see your general. Okay, so if you don't want your category label, you put it off. But how would you know what category it is? So it's better to leave it on so that you see it's sales. Then your call out value. This is your call out value. So what color do you want your call out value to be? If you want your call out value to have the same color as we've had here, you can just go ahead and change your color.
Let's make it purple.
Purple.
Yes.
Is purple your favorite?
No, my favorite color is black.
Yeah. So you make it purple, but
that's contrast.
okay.
I heard there needs to be synchronization with your colors to show maturity.
Yes, they actually need. That is where I was getting to. So when you have seen a lot of dashboards on social media where people say, oh, they have been able to create this dashboard as a result of this. My concern with most of them is that some of them are too choked. You can't get, there's no visualization if you can't communicate, right? If you cannot communicate anything, that visualization is not good. So you have to communicate, number one. Number two, to communicate effectively, you need to make sure that you have a color code or a color scheme that you use. And all the colors you use within a scheme within a scheme must match, okay, to show, like you said, maturity. Apart from to show maturity, you need not to blind people's eyes, right? So if you want to see, for instance, in a color platelet, you might have a blue color platelet, right? In all of those colors, you have different shades of blue. For instance, now, if you look at this now, are you seeing all of this blue? They are different shades. You can even go to more colors so that you actually can put in your color code of by yourself. If you have any reason to think you don't know the color, okay? What I'll need you to do is that when you are designing your dashboard, go to your browser, search for, if you want to use blue, red, orange, just search for color code of red. So it's going to give you a code. Each of those color in the platelets, in the color platelet has the hex number. So all you need to do is to put it in here. It will help you, if you don't know how to mix color, it will help you make very beautiful dashboards, okay? So instead of actually missing and say, okay, I want this to be this, I want this to be that, I want to put it this way. So that is the best thing you can actually do for yourself, okay, so that you have mature presentation. So if you want it bold, you make it bold. You can say it now, it's bold. If you want it italicized, fine. If you want it underlined, fine. If you want to reduce the font size, go ahead and reduce it. But of all of these now, as you're doing all of this, like me, I actually like a dashboard well designed, because it's one way to make is. You have a question? Okay, so it's one way to make your dashboard very very beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we want that background. The reason we want a background is because we want to be able to put a shadow. But now I want to point out something. If you are keen about designs and you don't like sharp edges, so you have to remove the background and put a box on this, right? For instance, let me show you what I mean. You cannot make this box, you cannot make this a curved angle, right? So because you cannot make it a curved angle, what I'll need to do is that I will go to effects on general and take out the background. You see, it has no background anymore. Okay, so I will then go to insert and insert a shape. I can change this shape. I can pick rounded, or let me just pick rounded for context. Are you seeing this rounded? So let me adjust this rounded shape. I want to reduce the way it's round just a little bit. So I have it this way now. I can decide to say I want to leave it at this color, then make this white, okay? Or I want to add shadow to this, okay? So I will go and say add shadow. So I have shadow on this now. So if I put it here, you can see it has an element of shadow. So what I need to be able to do now, I want to send this downward, like I was showing you, giving you that time, telling you that time, right? I can send it backward.
Send backward.
Yes, so that I can have it like this. Then I adjust the text upward. Now I have to make this white, right? I have to make this text white so that it's represented very well. So now I'll click on it, it's highlighted. Then go to call out visuals or call out value, right? And make my call out value white.
White.
Yes.
Perfect.
So then for category label, remember sales is a category label. This 173K is call out value. So I'll go to category label and say I want it white as well. Then I want it bold. If you want it to be bigger so that people will see, you can make it bigger. Okay. So that is one way you can do that. But on my box, I still have a line. So let me remove that line from it. I'll take out the border. So I don't have it anymore. I don't have that border anymore. So let me adjust this back. Okay, so you can see something like this. If this is what you want to achieve, that is how you have to go about it. So that is one card. Mind you, if I pick this card, right? If I click on this card and pick anything here, it's going to affect this card. So what I need to do is to always remember to click outside, to click not to highlight the card or whatever chart I'm working on. If I click somewhere outside, I can easily just enter another card and then go ahead. This time I want to add quantity, right? I can add quantity again. I can decide to put them in a row, okay? Like we did this time, let me show you something. Let me just put this here. We can adjust this one downward so that we'll just know that at this place, we have a very nice something for card here. Wouldn't it be nice? Like this?
Yes.
So
let's place them on it.
Yes, we just place them on it. So
change this background.
Yes, you can go ahead and remove this background, or you just leave it to show contrast. Let it just be a little different. A little different. Okay. This one white, this one black on white, then this. You can even change this background to a little bit gray.
This color.
Right. You can change it to a little bit of gray so that it's something like this. Okay. So it depends on how you want to do your designs. It depends on how you want to do your designs on your dashboard. But the ideal thing is that every dashboard must communicate, right? Every dashboard must be able to communicate. So now let me add another. We've added cards. So during your practice, you can go ahead. I'll send this data set to you. I'll be expecting that before next class, my expectation is that we will have your reports. I want your dashboards as I'm giving an assignment now. I want your dashboards before Saturday on the group. Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me, please? You help me announce, for those that are not here, help me announce that there's an assignment and I want a dashboard. So go ahead and make your dashboard as you want with this data set I've done with all of these. So I will.
Is it the data set you sent earlier?
Yes, I sent a data set earlier. So
okay,
what I'll do, I'll still save this file. I'll save this file and share with you in on the group. So you open it and see everything we calculated. Yeah. The DAX we calculate this, but I'm not expecting that you rename it. You will not be doing yourself good though. If you rename it and go and delete the dashboard and do your own, you will not be doing yourself good. I want you to calculate your measures. In fact, if there's any new additions you want to add, go ahead and add and be dynamic about it. So let's add a chart. I want to add a line chart now. So I've had this line chart. So what do we use? What do we use as this line chart on our data? Shall we use country? Let's see if we have too many countries. Countries and total sales, right? Let's see. Okay, I think this is fine. So we can definitely always adjust. Like I told you, it's big enough. So there we can have this like this. But see now, our chart is looking somehow. So if you want to do, if you enter this chart and you don't feel like, oh, I don't think this was the right chart, you can always change it. You don't delete it. There's no need to delete it. Just go to a new chart that you feel will have been, this is clustered column chart. If you click it, you see it changed, right?
Yes.
So it will change that. If you feel that that wasn't the right chart as far as the same proportion. So now you see sum of total sales by country. If you don't want it to look this way, we can as well change all of these things, all of these labels and that we have around, okay? We can change them, all right? We can add some, so let's click on the chart and go to format visuals. So here on charts, we have much more, right, to work on. We have our x-axis, y-axis, however you want it presented. If we want a zoom slider, maybe during presentation you want to zoom, you can put it on zoom slider. The zoom slider, when you slide, it actually zooms through figures and so on, right? If you want it, you put it on, okay? If you want the columns, if you don't want the color, if you want to change the color or the spacing of your columns, you can as well do that. Watch this. If I want to adjust the spacing, you do that. I think I showed you these on Microsoft Excel when we're editing charts, during editing charts. I showed you that you can close the gaps of your chart or open the gaps of your chart. Here, this is how it's done, okay? Remember, they are all under visuals. You can just be scrolling down. Then you have the plot area background. The plot area background is this area. So you can, if you want to add a photo to this plot area, you can as well do that and add a photo to read. But what's the use? Not necessary, really. So then on general, we can look at the properties here, talk about the size and so on. So if I don't want this title, I will just put off this. I don't want that title. Somehow, by the X and Y axis label, I should be able to understand it, okay? So the other things you need to do now is to go to your effects, right? Your background, you can change your background color as you like, but no, this is not a good option.
No, not a good color.
Yes, I just showed you that you can change that as you like. For instance, if you pick a dark blue like this, and you see that it's contrasting with this, if you take it to, you want to contrast it, work on the transparency.
Transparency.
But, yes, so for anything you do, let it be very intentional. Like you know what you are doing concerning colors and contrast of colors. So if you want a shadow, you put it on. This is how a shadow will make it look like. But mind you, I want to tell you, it's not good that everything is just shadow dyes, right? So it's good that you are intentional, okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just showing you what is possible, okay? So now the header icons, if you look now, let me show you this.
Can we hide it like the Excel?
Hide, what is that?
You know, in Excel, you do this ID header and what is it called? No, we can't hide in this.
Yeah, you can definitely hide. For
Okay.
instance, on the header icon, let me zoom so that it will be clear. So now the charts, before I forget, the charts on Power BI actually recalibrate. You know, we can work on the values, these values, right? We can actually work on the values in Microsoft Excel, but watch this. The more I shrink it, the more it changes, right? The value it has here. So you can as well remember that, okay?
Yes.
So now this sum of total sales, if you ever want to, you see we have here the filters. Let me, thank God I remember these filters. The filters, now I told you we have three important, right? In building your visualizations, you have visualization and data. However, the filters, how it's presented, for instance, you see all, right? On this filter now, is showing you all of the filter. The filter helps you to filter through what you want to present. Maybe something I really want to hide a particular country, I'll go ahead and just select the countries I want. But since I want this in an entire presentation, I can use my what is it called? I can use a visualization called Slicer, right? I can add a visualization called Slicer, which is part of visualization to slice through my data set, just as we inserted in Microsoft Excel. So the same thing for some, you have conditions here, less than, greater than, and or. We have covered these basics from the beginning of this course. So it will be easy for you to use basic conditions, okay? That's what the slicer, that is what it does, okay? So on the x-axis now, if we, for instance, if I off this value on the x-axis, you see the title USA blah 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 goes off. So you definitely want to allow them on, but you can work on how they look, their size.
Can we do top 10?
Can I do what?
Just like showing the top 10, because I think there's a limit to the number of stores you can visualize.
Yes. I think maybe you can do top 10. You can do top 10 on your filters. You can definitely do top 10 on your filters, okay? Okay. So yes, you can basically do that, because sometimes you are not interested in which one, okay? You are not most of the time rather, you are interested in high performance. You are not really interested in the low performance, right? So you want to see, and if you have a whole lot of items on your charts, it makes the chart cramped, right? But if you select top 10, for instance, you might just see top performing countries, okay?
I can't imagine anything I can.
Okay, so now this, you can adjust that. This one is in the x axis, then you have your x axis, you can work on your x axis. So remember what we did about minimum and maximum on our display here, on these values here. You can actually work on them here, okay? So the titles of this sum of that. If you don't want it, you can basically just put it off, okay? But you can actually work on it. The title text is on auto now. You can just adjust it, remove it, and call it sales, right? If you call it sales, it remains on sales. I don't know if you get the point.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can edit it here. So it's just to gradually, just to follow this through. You can call it sales by country, okay? So you can change the color if you like. So we can go ahead, and this our data set is quite minimal, but you can go ahead and add more charts. I think this time, let's look at products. I think we have products. Let's look at products and total sales. So let's change it. This is where it's very important that we pick a top performing products. But there's something, let me point out something here. Sometimes, if you actually want to calculate periodical performance, if you can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
If you want to calculate periodical performance, you should be very careful what you pick, because this is all, right? If you go to the filter, we are looking at all, okay? So if you want to actually slice through, let me give context to this. If you want to actually slice through, let me use another visualization for this. This is too much. Okay. So if for context sake, right, let me add a filter. And in this filter, I want to put dates. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I pick dates, let me work on this filter, this setting. Okay, let me just, when you are working on it, let me, so that I'll not keep you waiting. So you see, if we are to work on slicers like this, another thing, it's easier that we actually separate that. We'll have separated that column anyway, but let me see. Let me use product here instead and remove dates. There are too few columns here, excuse me. Okay. Okay, so what I was trying to point out, and let me not take your time, what I was trying to point out was that we can slice when we are slicing through using our filters. We definitely need to be careful so that we don't show, or say, maximum of 10, because if you adjust this, right? If you adjust this, let me take this down. If you adjust this chart anyway, it's going to actually reduce the numbers that it can make visible. So it depends on what you want to apply, right? It depends on what you want to do. If you are showing a static, if you want to show a static, communicate a static data, if you can do that, select the highest or between a particular range you want to select. But if you want to show a dynamic, maybe you're having a presentation and you want to show dynamic performance over certain years and dates, you definitely need to do what? You definitely need to go ahead and adjust your slides, your charts accordingly. So do we have any questions so far? Hello, any questions so far?
Sir.
Pardon?
None from my end.
Okay.
Question. I have question concerning the assignment, so that I'll be able to put it. I'll be able to put it right. we are going to actually do a visual representation of what you just did today, right? Like what is here.
No, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to send you not what is here. What is here will not move, will not make
it's
it.
Just like repetition.
Yes, it's just
So
like.
you are going to send another data set.
No, I'll send this very data set and I'll give you the charts, the different charts. I'll send shortly after the meeting. I'll send it to. I don't think I've started you up before.
No.
Okay, you just send me hello.
Okay.
So I'll just send the question and you send it back to the group. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yes. So you already have the data set. All you'll be doing is to present the data set. Under the data set, what I'll send, because I'll actually name what comparison you should be doing. Okay. Sorry, go and take care of them. Okay.
Don't mind.
So
they are five. I'm coming. Hold on, please.
You can actually do so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll shut you up after the class.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yes,
is there any question at all? Mind you, when you are doing your assignment, if you have any questions, do ask. I know that as we are doing it now, it looks like, oh yeah. But if you have any question, do ask. Okay.
Actually, what I was saying, that the questions are going to come after the work.
Pardon?
Come again. I'm about to say that questions are going to come after we start putting it into practice individually.
Yes, those questions, let them come. It's important. All right. Let the questions come. That is when you actually know that there were some things probably you didn't pay attention or you skipped your mind or this and that. There were some things like that that is when you will actually know that. Okay.
Please, due to network issue that I have here, please, can you help me a bit explanation on that connecting the two pages, page 1, page 2, how you hold the control button and you connect the 2 pages.
All right. Okay. So pardon? So let me remove this and add it again. So I was saying that I was talking about the elements we have here. So I said, if you see some reports, right? You don't have to choke your dashboards with charts, too many charts. For instance, when a chart looks like it begins to look very okay. Let me insert a pie chart. Then say I want country. Let me see if I thought we did sum of quantity. Okay, so we can do this. So now let's say you keep adding. Now if you add say 4 or 5 charts, you find out that it begins to look like it's quite much, right? So
it will look fancy.
Yeah, so if you don't want to squeeze your charts together, you can have more pages of your report. You can have more pages, page 1, page 2, depending on. And again, apart from just not squeezing, there are usually ways in which you categorize your report. For instance, let me give you this example of a category. You have this analysis, right? Sales performance analysis. In sales performance analysis, you have product sales, product performance. You have profit and loss analysis. You have growth analysis. So you might decide and say, okay, you want page 1 to be sales. Yeah. You want page 2 to be profits. Are you seeing it?
Yes, we just rename. Are we going to double click if we want to rename?
You can double click or right click. The same thing you do with renaming sheets in Excel.
Okay.
Yes, double click or right click. I just double click this one to rename this one, but the rest are right click. Okay. Then you can call this one now. You call this one recommendation.
Okay.
Okay. So anyhow you actually want to do it. So you might, if you are doing a presentation, you say, okay, this is the sales performance, this is the profit performance over the years. What is my recommendation? So you can actually do that. All right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the recommendation will just be in words, like normal words, or do we need to do any visualization on that too?
No, it might, for instance, we have as a this thing now on this new what is it called? On this new on this Power BI rather, you have
Yes.
smart narrative. I seen the smart narrative.
Okay.
I added smart narrative. So what
Please,
it did
where
is
did you
just
get this smart narrative? Oh,
look at it here, smart narrative on the visualization.
okay, on the visualization board. Oh,
Yes.
okay, okay.
So if you click on smart narrative, it's going to tell you that at this, the USA had the highest sum of total sales, and at this percent higher than Germany, which had the lowest. So
lowest sum of total
yeah,
sales. Okay.
you can decide to just put this on your discussion and recommendation board, and you do that. Okay. Then you have Q&A for your presentation. These are all charts, that smart charts that you can add depending on what you want to work on. Okay. Or depending on what you are working on. All right. So now, so adding the buttons that he asked about. Now you have various, if you want to use left arrow, right arrow as or reset or back or information, you have many, bookmark, blank. Blank, you actually want to tell it what you want to do. Now, but for navigation, when you want that page 1, page 2, you click on navigation, okay? You click on navigation.
Okay.
So navigation, now I have these pages. So it's going to give me the pages based on how I name them. Are you seeing? Sales, profit, recommendation. So it's based on how I name them. If these texts are too tiny for me, I'll definitely go and make them bigger, right? But right now, I can just click on them to format them. It's not doing anything. But guess, see what happens. If I hold on my control and click, I'm on sales, it's black, right? If I hold on my control, click on profit, it takes me to the profit page. Are you seeing? You see this, right? But I don't have any navigation on the profit page. So you definitely need to actually add more. This one at least back is going to take me to the first page. I hold down control, it takes me back. Then if I want to go to the recommendation page, I click on the recommendation page. Mind you, you have to always add, because I don't want to, after showing Fizzy, I don't want to come and start clicking this thing, this again. So I need to actually add maybe back to take me back. Okay. So I click, it takes me back to my home page, which is sales. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Tobena asked that if I decide to delete a particular visualization, how do I go about it? It's just to click on the visualization and say delete. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So any question?
Okay, sir. With regards to the recommendation bar you made mention of, with regards to the analysis of this chart,
yes,
how do we link it to that recommendation page?
How do you link?
There was a time you made reference to. There's one of the charts you click that had the
Okay. So
on the visualization board.
Let's go to the recommendation here. If I click this smart narrative to add to this, it's going to tell me no smart narrative added. So sorry, close. So I'm coming.
Time to bubble up.
Okay, hold on, please. Sorry. Let me delete this now. And why is it not responding? So I'm coming. Let me add the smart narrative here. So the narrative, basically, the smart narrative here, sorry, I didn't mention this. The smart narrative narrates what I have, narrating what I have here. Do you get it?
Yes.
Yes, it's narrating what I have here. So now let me show you something. Let's go to the recommendation sheet and add something. I want to add something. Let me add another. Let me add a decomposition tree, and I'm going to use
You know what else is cold on Mount Tippy Tippy Top? Me too. Let's fix that. It's for Mommy.
It's for Grandma.
Only took me 10 tries. I am awesome. It's for Mommy.
No, for Grandma.
Yes,
for Grandma.
Okay, so on the decomposition tree now, let me adjust it here. So now, if from the sum of sales is showing me on the top, that is of the decomposition. That decomposition, just what it means is that it actually takes a sum, right, and spread it across the values, spread it across the contributing variables. This sum of sales by country, I pick sum of sales by country, isn't it? So if I pick by product, so it's going to tell me the performance or the addition of all products to the sum of, right? Are we seeing that?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to add this here so that if by the time maybe you talk about sales, maybe you don't have a space here, you can go to your recommendation and say, oh, this, then you write your recommendations here. I think we did something. I was thinking of something. We did calculated columns, we did measures, and I said that the third one will be calculated tables, right? And I was thinking that we missed that. Yeah, I think we missed that. So if you can decide to add a table or matrix here, you can add a table here. And your table might be a calculated table. Okay, you can visualize that your calculated table or calculated summary here. But let's go back to our data here to then go to table tools to calculate our new table. Is that movement clear? Was it too fast?
Yes, sir, come again.
Okay. So now I said we want to add, I think when we're talking about the three calculations we can easily do on DAX, we said calculated columns, we said measures, and I remember making mention of calculated table. So we have done two, is left with one, which is calculated tables. We did measures, calculated columns, it was left with calculated tables. So to do any calculations, you know that we always go back to our data view, right? So
yes,
on our data view, on table tools, we need to go to a new, under calculations, we say new tables, right?
New table.
So we'll click on new table, just like we calculated before. This time we can give it a table, the name of a table. So what should we call it? I think I'll call it country sales, because I want to summarize sales data based on country.
Country.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll call this table country sales. I'll say equals, right? So now the table is summarized. So I'm going to use the summarize function, right? So I'm going to use the summarize function. If I use the after the summarize function, I want to be able to reference the data I want to from the table I want to summarize, which is what? Sales data, right?
Sales data. Yes.
So I want to summarize from sales data. So from sales data, I say country, right? So I'll definitely pick country from that column, right? So I have to say sales data, then country, right?
Yes.
Country, sales data, country. Okay. Then I want to pick from that country. I want to pick create a column called total sales, right? So I'll say after that country, I'll say comma, I'll say total sales. That is the name, total sales, right? Then I will have to calculate, then I'll have to calculate the column. I want to calculate the column, the sum of the total sales column. You know what? This will make sense when you remember that this data was entered, for instance, in the country, for instance, Nigeria. Then after many other Nigeria will repeat. It's basically repetition. You have repetition. So I want to summarize that those countries maybe to 5 or 10, however they appear, right?
Okay.
Then I will need to now say sum, that is after comma. I'll say sum. The sum of what? The sum of total sales, right? But total sales was first in sales data. So you must first reference the name of the table every time. So we had total sales, right? So we need to close the bracket now. But we will close we'll have to do how many brackets?
One. I think it's yes, that's all.
It's 2, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Two brackets.
Yes, 2. So if we click enter, should I revise the let me go back on the formula, right?
So just say what each one represents.
What?
Formula.
What they represent. You don't have to clean it.
Okay. What it represents is that we need to we want to summarize the table. From that table, you have repetitions, country names repeating up to about, I think, 90. But we don't have 90 and we don't have 90 individual countries. We just have about maybe 10 or 9 countries. It just says that wherever sales is made, the country is taken into is recorded. So this time we want to summarize this, just as what we will have done with pivot analysis in Microsoft Excel, where we enter a pivot table and we take country and then take total sales. So this is what actually happens. We'll say country. Now we want to summarize, say equals summarize. Then we want to summarize from the sales data table, isn't it?
Yes,
so yes, the sales data, comma. Now, any column we want to make mention of, we need to reference the table name. So that is why instead of just going ahead to say country, we have to say sales data country. Then we want to have, when we have country, we want to have total sales, like, right? So we want to have a column total sales. So we have to give the column name. If you look at this total sales, we have to give and that is why we put it in what's it called? In quotes. Then we want to sum, we want to add the total sales per country. So that is what we did here. Okay.
This is we have 2 columns. The country
and the total sales.
Yes, okay.
Okay, we just want to get the countries and the total number of sales in that country.
Yeah, the total amount of
Instead
sales,
of
yes.
repeating the country each time a product is sold in that country. So we have
It's
to
more like
summarize.
getting the aggregates.
Yes, more like getting the
Yes.
aggregate, yes. So you could do product, the same, you could also do product, you could also do products.
I think if you add the products, each of the products, since we get the sales, let's know the products that are being sold in this country to get this total number of sales.
Okay, we can definitely go ahead and do that. So we can create a new table for product. So now see the country sales we have here as a table. So we can go back to creating, where is it, new table, adding a new table. And this new table now will be products. Sales, yes, equal. So we want to summarize.
Summarize.
Yes. So we want to summarize which table?
The data says the
Sales
table.
data. Yes.
Sales data.
So sales data. Then we'll say comma. So we want to summarize from where?
Product.
Product now.
Product first.
Yes. So sales
data.
Product.
Products.
A product. Okay, there's no S. Product.
Product.
Okay. Then we'll say what?
We'll say
comma.
Comma.
Then the title of the sales. What do we call the title of the? You know, now we'll have one title, one column product, the other column sales. Should we call it total sales as well, or sales? Sold.
Quantity sold.
Come again.
Quantity sold.
Oh,
No.
Because we are not using quantity. Is it quantity we are? Do we want to use quantity?
No, I think it's product sold.
Okay.
You want to check the products that are being sold.
Total sales.
The total. Okay, let's use total sales. Okay.
Okay, total sales.
Okay. Then we'll say comma. So we definitely need to sum, right?
Yes. Sum.
We want to sum from sales data. And that is total sales, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then we'll close with equal number of parentheses that were open, in this case 2. Okay. We hit enter, we should get our new table. Okay, so this is a summarized table. So we have this table now. Okay, so if we go back to our report view, we can decide to enter this table. We can decide to enter this as a table we want to have here. Okay. Do you get it?
Yes.
Here you go. Okay, so that is it. You can enter as many as you want. So there are more visuals. Let's say you don't have the visual you're looking for. You can get more visuals, okay, by going online to the Power BI services, okay, but at most, almost everything you need is here for now. Okay. So any questions so far? You can also create a chart. Let me not forget. You can also insert a chart from your new tables. Okay. The new tables you created. You can also insert from there. Okay. Sorry, I didn't click. From there, you can also insert from there. So don't think it's only you can only bring the tables out. You can also insert the charts from the new tables you created. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So any more questions? let me save this file. Let me show you something.
Are we going to get the recorded class?
Yes, you
Sorry.
get, definitely it's on record. You get the recorded class.
So this assignment.
Yes.
What about those that do not have laptop? Or they
Okay.
can just find a way of doing it.
No, those that don't have a laptop should find a way to collaborate with those that have, right? And how do they collaborate when they are not together? Suggestions. They can just chat on WhatsApp. Oh, I feel we should add this. I feel we should add this. You understand? It's a collaborative effort. You get? They should find a way. You guys find a way to make sure you collaborate. And when you are submitting the assignment, you say done by this and this, right?
Okay, sir. Okay. I'm just asking because of those in my group and maybe other group that do not have laptops, so that they won't be left behind.
Okay. Yes, you are submitting the assignments before
Are we
Saturday.
submitting a screenshot or the file?
A screenshot, not a file.
Okay.
You submit a screenshot.
So please send this data you did today for us, please. I need it.
Yes,
Yes.
I'll send
Save
it.
it and send to us, please.
Yes, I'll send it. Okay.
All right.
All right. Is there any question?
No.
Okay. In the absence of any question or more questions, we'll call it a day. I wish you a great day ahead and an excellent weekend. And it's beautiful new week coming. Okay?
Amen.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right. All right. You're welcome.